But yeah, this is Ridge Hirano, everyone. Hey, Ridge.
Uh-oh.
Um, so yeah, Ridge works at Cartoon Network. And if you want to go over like a little bit about yourself, if you want to introduce yourself to the group, tell us what you do, tell us how you got started, and then we can get started on moving on to questions.
Yeah, for sure. So I went to USC for animation. Uh, I was an intern at Cartoon Network during my fall semester of my last year, and now I work at Cartoon Network as a production assistant. Um, I've been there since 2019 in April, and I've basically just been like a little baby in the industry. So if you have any questions about like your first jobs or like Cartoon Network specifically, I might be able to answer those for you. It's a very
Awesome.
brief history because I have no experience.
Yeah. We're going to be using the chat, by the way, for any questions. So if you guys want to hop into chat to type in any questions, you can go right ahead, and then I can like read them out loud for Ridge to respond to.
Cool. I'll take a look there too.
Yeah, they're going to be coming in a second.
But yeah, so you guys are a club, an animation club.
Yeah, we're the
Nice.
Animation Association from Columbia College Chicago.
Okay,
Um, so we're just like a group that like hangs out and talks about animation all the time.
that's cute. That's cute. That's good. Um, I know Allie. Allie was our
Yeah,
intern on Infinity Train once,
yeah.
and I also know, oh God, Matt Utsunomiya. If anyone knows him, yeah, he was a co-intern with me
Oh, cool.
on Close Enough. So that's my history with this school. This is all I know.
Yeah, we had Ali Benson for a Q&A one time. I think it was like last semester or 2 semesters ago.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah.
Good energy.
All right, we have a question. What was your first day at Cartoon Network like?
My first day was wild. I was an intern, and on your first day, you go to like orientation and stuff. Uh, that day, our former like head of programming always has like a chat with each intern, or like not each intern, like the group of interns every year. Um, it's usually scheduled for like later on in the program, but that day was his only day that he could come talk to us. So basically, we got like bombarded right after like we were like eating lunch and like talking about how to like escape the building if there's a fire. And then this guy who's like this big CEO looking dude is just like yelling at us about how hard it is to get like programming on TV and like all the struggles he had to go through to get like uh, all these like crazy. I feel like I shouldn't be talking about him like this, but it was just like a very like wild day. It's a lot of like paperwork, a lot of like safety stuff, a lot of like what an NDA is, like what you're allowed to say on like social media, what you're not. Um, it's like a ton of information. It's like a huge dump. So like but like everyone here will have to go through that somewhere. So like, don't worry about your first date. Like I think the more important thing is like the journey afterwards, right? The first day is like not really a huge step. It's more like what follows. My job and what the day to day looks like for me. So I'm a production assistant now. Before I was a digital production assistant, which is basically like a baby animatic editor. You don't get to edit anything yourself. You create a project with all of the storyboards in it for your animatic editor. You conform storyboards to the last animatic that was made. So when we finish animatics for the networks to see and approve, it'll come back to us, and we have to make sure that like all the dialogue hits on each panel correctly. And oh god, what else do we do? We have to make sure that like when there are like A and B panels to cycle, like we notate that. There are a lot of like small things about that job that like are probably too like boring to get into, but essentially it's like prepping things that important people shouldn't have to take care of. It's like the basic gist of it. It's like and then like now I got changed to a normal PA. So we're doing that kind of stuff, and we're like handling records, time cards, like simple things like that, like normal office things, like order supplies and like send emails to like check and see like where files are and like where they should go. It's a lot of boring stuff, but I don't want to bore you with it, but that's like what a normal day to day is like. It's crazy. You don't know what you're gonna have to handle, but it's like whatever fire comes up, you just gotta like go and put it out. That's basically what it is. Nothing can prepare you for it. You just gotta live it. That's the thing, and that's the hard thing about this job too. It's like your first job in animation. If you're like going into production, it's like everybody can do the job, but nobody teaches you how, and it's really hard to explain what that first job is. So you kind of just have to go with the flow. You kind of have to know who you know, meet the right people, and get your foot in the door, and just like do a good job. I think that's really important.
All right, we got a couple more people joining in, and we just got another question in the
Hello.
chat. Just for the new people joining in, we are using the chat to ask the questions. So if you want to go ahead and type in a question there, you can go ahead. We have another question from Sabrina. Any advice on applying for internships over at Cartoon Network?
I'd say keep all of your work experience in your resume when you submit, because it's really good to see where people work, even if it's not in animation. Because if you exclude everything that's like not animation, then you're just gonna have a very shallow, like padded resume. We like to see people who have like office experience. Like if you've worked with adults before in like cubicles, like that's exactly what we're looking for. It's like have you used a hole punch before? Like is it simple things like that that like really like it sounds funny, but like there are people who really don't know like what it's like to work in an office. And essentially you're working in an office, but like everyone's drawing instead of like making code or something. So you should include all of your past experience, in my opinion. And then there's a second portion to the onboarding process of like becoming an intern, where you do a video recorded, like self-recorded interview. And I'm sure some of you have done it already here. But I'd say for that, keeping your answers short and very like concise is super important, and like being charming at the same time. Because when you talk too long and you don't give like a straight answer, the people that are watching these are people like me who just like, we don't have a lot of time to sit down and listen to everything that someone has to say. Like if you're taking the full minute to answer a question, that's not good. Keep it short, keep it charming, keep it simple. Like whoever wins, or whoever you can win over with your personality, like that is how you're going to get that internship, in my opinion. Some shows do it by like what your portfolio looks like. Other shows don't look at it at all. They care about like personality. And I think depending on what kind of person you are, it's important to also like stay true to your like personality. Because I think the show that you get matched on will more often than not like align with your like personality. I keep saying the same words over and over again, but like I think, well, I got close enough, and I think that the crew and I were very like similar. And like the girl that we knew that was on Powerpuff Girls when it existed, like they were very much like Powerpuff Girl kind of like person. So really, you just want, it would be a weird fit if like we got switched around. You know, if I tried to be bubbly in my interview and then I got put on Powerpuff Girls, I don't think it would have like worked out as well, because like it's a different vibe, show to show. So just like be yourself, make it short, and then you'll find your fit eventually, and just keep doing it every semester. Like we'll see the same people over and over again, and they'll change something about like their interview, and it's like, okay, this guy this time, or like this girl this time, or them, you know. So keep at it and like try to make it your own. Try to understand that these people who are looking at it, just like, they don't have time. They're gonna like skip over you as soon as you talk over like 10 seconds. I don't know. That's just how it happens. The first time I applied and I got that video interview, I rambled and rambled and I didn't get it. And then the second time I got it, I just like made it super short I was like very chill about it. I wasn't like trying to overact, and then I got picked. So you never know. I can take a look at the questions. What job or goal are you working towards, and why did you choose the PA route? Okay, so I eventually want to be like a storyboard artist. I chose the PA route because I don't think I'm that good of an artist. Uh, I think things like that take time to like learn, and there's like sort of a lot of gatekeeping with that kind of like industry knowledge, and it's really hard to explain too. So it's like the only way to really know what is required of a storyboard artist is to like really focus on getting into a studio and figuring out what they're doing with their boards. So for me, it made sense to um, like keep a good connection with like my friends at Cartoon Network after my internship, and just like try to get in whatever way possible. If I'm not ready for like boards, then like I'll take a PA job, because like my friends trust me in doing the work, and I think I did a good job um, during my internship. So like people trusted me to do the work. So when I got invited back, I think that was like the more important thing. It's like working with your friends, knowing that people like are competent and have done it before. And then so realistically, like I didn't choose the PA route. Like it kind of like fell into my lap. You know, a lot of people were like looking uh, at me as a candidate. That sounds so cocky. I don't want to say that. But like I made a lot of friends in my time there. I think that helped. I think I got an offer for Infinity Train and Close Enough, and Infinity Train started earlier, so I took that one. Um, I'm still working towards being a storyboard artist, but like being at a show for a year and a half and looking at what kind of work they do, like it kind of opens up what your expectations are for yourself and your boards, or whatever work you do. Like if you want to get into character design, like you should take a look at what is out there and like what is like professionally made, and like just see like minute changes that you can make to your stuff at each stage. Like I think that's the important thing. Like getting your foot in the door and experiencing what professional work is like and how people carry themselves and what they do to get that end result. I think that's like the most important thing. Let's see. What led to you getting a job at Cartoon Network? Friends. Making lots of friends and being really hardworking when you're around any of them. I think like even if I didn't work with them, just like knowing that you work hard is like a good thing to pass on. I think like networking is a really like dirty and weird word. I try to be nice to like everybody, and I tried to make friends as much as I could at Cartoon Network, and it ended up working out. So I think friendship is like the key to getting your first job in the industry. At least for me, it was. I'll say this: like even the janitors and like custodial staff, like I was very nice to them, and apparently after I left, they knew that someone was hiring, and they overheard that they were looking at me, and they were like, "Oh, that boy is nice." You know, there's things like that, and then like that stuff like resonated with the people on Close Enough who were my friends that were gonna hire me. Like they said that people enjoyed, or like that they said that, and I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." And our dog is yawning. Shh. So yeah, I think just making good relationships is a good. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. Just I think good relationships are the key to getting that first job, or any job really. For someone who isn't looking to go into production but is looking to get their foot in the door, can you go the PA route, and what skill set do you need? It's easy to get complacent in the production route. It's easy to also just like see the future ahead and see how like stable it is. Um, someone who isn't looking to but is looking to get their foot in the door. I wouldn't recommend going the PA route because a lot of people will depend on you to make the ship run. Um, like if you're trying to, um, let's say, let's say you hear that like your prop designer is going somewhere else and you really want to do prop design, but you're like in this machine and like you're on the production side, you're trying to like help make everything move and work. um, it's really hard to like convince the people around you that the ship will be okay without you in that time. I mean, like you can give your like 2 weeks. I guess if they like your work and if they can transition you over, but it's a really tricky thing, and it's different between each production. I'm very lucky, and I have like a lot of like supportive people around me in my team. But I've known other people to just like get rejected, and like discouraged from moving into art. I think that's a careful thing for people to tread. If you want to know what professional work is like I said earlier, I think it's good to get a PA job. I think it's good to be able to have access to all that and to see like where things go after you're done with them, how many times things get like fixed up. Um, it's good to know the process. But I think if you're trying to break into art, it's not really necessary to go the PA route. And PA route is a little messy itself sometimes. I mean, like I haven't moved over. I know people who have, but like it's tricky. It's tricky. Just get good at your art. Don't stop like practicing after you're done with whatever job you're doing. Like if you work at um, like Home Depot during the day and then you go home and you just like grind it out. Like I think no matter what job you have, whether you're a PA or whether you're working in the industry or not, it's important to just like, if you have a different dream, just like keep working towards it. Like it's not over until you take that first step. And even after that first step, you're going to be constantly like fighting for like a job, you know, like there are always people that are going to be looking, but there are always people who are going to like come out of school. There are always people who are like going to try and get the same job as you. So like just keep getting better. Like don't stop until what you want to do is your title, in my opinion. But a lot of people have different opinions on that too. How has the pandemic impacted working at Cartoon Network? What is it like now? It's a lot of video calls. It's a lot of, we all work off of like a server, so like downloading and uploading files is a pain. But other than that, it's like it's not so different. We all work at computers at a desk during normal hours, so like we're still doing the same thing. It's just at home, and things take a little bit longer. I say the weirdest thing is like doing remote record sessions with like actors and actresses. It's just super weird because like if you want to get talent that's in New York, you have to call into like a New York studio and like see them go into the booth, and then like you have to have them send you the audio and like have someone. It's really weird and really boring. I feel like I'm gonna get into like something too complicated and boring, but things are a little harder, but they're not super like extremely difficult. In your opinion, do you have to live in California to get a job there and to get your foot in the industry? I'd say right now specifically, no. And I think things are going to change after the pandemic is over. But I will say, like, being here, at least like at Cartoon Network, there are a lot of things that I feel like I would miss out on if I wasn't here in California. Like, I think camaraderie is a really important part about like a successful show. So like not being able to see my friends and coworkers, or not being able to make new friends and like in my new coworkers. Like that's a bummer. And like the only time I get to like spend with them is like in a chat. Um, so I think relationship wise, it's easier, at least for me, to like be in person and have everyone around. And not to mention there are events like company events that happen here. Like I feel like if I were in Hawaii or something, I'd be sad. I'd miss out. So it's not necessary. I don't think it'll be necessary moving forward. But also like there's good and bad with it. I hate California, but like there's good stuff here too. Um, let's see. For someone who wants to have a say on story and pilot or plot and art, like character design, is PA route a good option? I'd say unless they're talking about like a group that you belong to and they want your opinion on it, it's really hard to just like tell people what to do, especially if you're a PA. Like if there was a Japanese like character in our show, I feel like it'd be okay to like say, oh, my family does this. Like it would be funny if like they did that. But I don't really think anything a PA says will be really considered. It really depends on the show too, and like how close you are to the people who are involved. Um, that stuff is more for like the writers and the artists. Like I'd say the only time I really felt like I had a say was when it pertained to something like a group that I'm from. And even then, sometimes it doesn't work out. But yeah, I also think that like it's in capable hands usually. Like I'll say that. Like a lot of your coworkers you'll find are like very competent and like very what's the word? They're just like really smart people and like you trust them with making good stuff. Cause like I've been on 2 shows so far and I think the people who are making it are great. I don't think anyone is like making any missteps. There's nothing I would like personally change. But I'm also still a baby in the industry, so it's really hard to have a say when you're in production. But there are moments where people will reach out depending on like who you are and what background you have, in my opinion. What's my favorite part about working at Cartoon Network? I think the people are the best part. It's a lot different studio to studio, in my opinion. Like each one has its own vibe. I feel like a lot of chill people end up at Cartoon Network, and I'm very about that like chill atmosphere. Um, I met like lifelong friends at Cartoon Network. I think that is like my favorite part about the work. Like it's cool to have like a credit, and it's cool to like be at a place where like you were watching it on TV growing up. But the most important part, like my favorite part, is the people. Just getting to know like such awesome people. That's like the best part. What is it like working at a studio? Does everyone get along? Do you get to talk to people working on other shows? Um, Studio life is fun. I like going into the studio. I miss going into the studio. Does everyone get along? I'd say show to show. Not a lot of people. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Whoops. Do people get along? On shows, I feel like crews get along very well. Show to show, if you're like sharing a floor, there's not a lot of unless you guys all talk to each other. There's not a lot of like crossover. So I feel like there's a little bit of tension. I feel like Infinity Train kind of dominated the lunch table, and I feel very bad. And we shared a floor with Victor and Valentino, and we just never talked to each other for the most part. So I feel bad about that. But talking to people on other shows, unless there's like crossover from like friendships in the past, not a lot of people come and talk to other people on shows. Like I'll introduce like my friends uh, from like USC who work there to my friends like at Infinity Train, or like someone will bring their friend from like who used to work on OKKO and now they work somewhere else, and it's like, oh, that's cool. But it's kind of hard to like build relationships with people who you only see like once or twice, like in a blue moon. So, but that being said, like having a tight knit crew, like it's the best. So, it's all about the culture that like you want to cultivate on your show. Like if everyone eats lunch at their desk, like that's up to them. And like that's a crew that isn't very close. Like when I was an intern, close enough, uh, everyone just kind of like minded their own business. But on Infinity Train, everyone sat at the table and like everyone talked for like 2 hours at lunch. I shouldn't have said that. I'll probably get in trouble. But that's just how it was. Like people get along really well depending on what show you're on. How are you preparing yourself to be a storyboard artist in the future after being a PA? It's just being a PA is like good because I can see what the final boards are like. I get to see like what stage of the board like each milestone will give. So like I can see people's thumbnails. Like that's a lot of power. That's like really scary for my friend who works on our show. But like that it's a good tool for me. Like and I had a pretty awful portfolio before, in my opinion. But now the one that I have up on my website, I feel reflects what I've noticed or learned from my time on Infinity Train. So that's just how I'm preparing myself. And like if something falls into place, then it will. But really, like I took a couple of months to like implement what I've learned into my portfolio, and I'm kind of just gonna let it do its thing. And if it attracts people, then that's good. If it doesn't, then you just got to keep working on it later. But right now, I'm just letting it like swim around and see if anything bites. What advice could you give to students graduating? I'd say this is like the hardest time to graduate. This is like the crappiest time to graduate. My studio isn't even doing internships right now because there's no use. There's like, it's hard to get experience. It's hard to break in. I'd say just like stay safe, stay resilient, do the right thing for you right now. And like people can get their career started whenever they want. That's really hard advice to give, but like right now, like if you're trying to really grind out during a pandemic, like everyone's struggling. Like keep yourself safe and paid, or like keep your family like close, because there will be a time to grind, and there will be a time to like move somewhere, or like uh, to network or make friends or something. Right now, just like stay safe. This is like a weird time. Like until there's a vaccine, I really can't give like good advice to people who are like graduating. That being said, like uh, advice I would give to myself right out of school is to just like keep a job, or like get a job. Like it doesn't have to be an industry job. I really should have listened to people about that, because I was kind of living off of savings and like hoping something would like fall into place for like a year, and I had no income. I didn't even file for unemployment. That was a really bad move. So I'd say like keep the cash flow coming in whatever way you can, um, because like now you're building the foundation for your like financial future. Like I wish I was like putting money into a 401k like a year ago. Like that sounds so stupid because I'm still young, but like a year can make like a big difference. Um, and starting up savings now so that you can like maybe take a like working now and grinding late at night, um, so that you can save up to maybe have like a time where you don't have to work, and for a couple of months you can just like dive into what you want to do. I think that's a smart decision. um, keeping money on the keeping money coming in, like keeping food on the table, that's like really important in my opinion, because it's going to affect your mental health if you have to like scrape for pennies in like different accounts to just trying to make ends meet. Like it's not fun. It's like it would have been much better if I just worked at a boba shop and just like swallowed my pride. Because like having your first job be an industry job is in my opinion like a miracle. Like only a few people I knew in my class and the class before me had the luxury of doing that. Um, and it really just depends on like luck, being the right person at the right place at the right time. Don't get down on yourself for that, especially if you're graduating this year, because this is just like a very complicated time. Keep an eye out for internships that are accepting people who graduated during this year, because it really isn't fair that like some people got their internship cut short or that they don't even have a chance at all. So just look out for yourself. I think that's the most important thing. Don't let life, or don't let the dream like take away your quality of life, because that's also important. Do you have any advice or tips for students looking to build their portfolio and resume? I'd say just like, just make stuff that like you want to work on. Because like, even if there's a job and you're really good, um, but you draw like Avatar, The Last Airbender, and this guy is looking for like Infinity Train. I'm just gonna say whatever. Like, it might seem similar, but like that might not be a good fit, even if you're a really good artist. Like, people are looking for what they can see is similar in the work that they want to do. So really, like, just do you, and like just do a lot of it, because people are going to be looking all the time. There will be a perfect match eventually. Like one of my friends draws very like cute, and like she was having a hard time finding a job, and she took a job on some like adult show, and she like wasn't happy. But now she's on a cute show, and like now she's happy. So like your art kind of is a reflection of the work that you want to do. Like if you don't want to be working on an adult show, like you don't have to do stuff like Family Guy. Like, make it for yourself, make lots of it, because that's how people get eyes on you. Like, post if you can every day, or like work towards something every day that you think is big and you think is fun, and eventually people will like gravitate towards it. Like, resume wise, like just keep working. Like, I think a lot of people kind of look at gaps in employment and be like, what were they doing then? And like, I took a whole year of not working, and I feel like that was to my detriment. So I think like, keep working unless you know for sure that like during a certain amount of time you're going to get something done, or if you like have a shop, like, and that can be your like way of making a living. Like, just like fill every gap with like work, like always grind. I think that that's important to me, at least. And that's something I look for too. It's like, is this person waiting for something to happen, or are they making something happen? I think that's what a resume can say. So it's up to you to make it happen. Is it possible to get a job in the industry, whether artist role or production, without having an internship with the company? Absolutely. There are people who never had an internship that have great jobs now. There are people who have had internships that haven't gotten a job since. Like, internships are just they're what you make of it, and there's no guidebook to doing it correctly. So it's a very like wobbly goal to have, and it's very like hard to break in. Like, someone has to give you like the right code, or like you have to figure it out on your own. Like, nobody told me how to get an internship at Cartoon Network. I just kind of like failed and did something different every time, and something landed eventually. And I got very lucky that people ended up enjoying my company, and that led to my first job. But that doesn't mean that if I like got an internship, if I behaved like differently, like maybe I'd be blacklisted. I don't know. Like there are a lot of things in your control that don't have to necessarily be tied to an internship to get you a job. That's it. It's like um, you shouldn't get down on yourself for not getting an internship, and that's easy for me to say because I've had one, but I've only had one. Like I know people who have had five, and they're doing great. But like tying your well-being and your self-worth to what internship you have or what job you have, that's not going to help. And in most cases, like I haven't heard much from other interns about their success. So it really depends on like what you make of your time now, whether you're in an internship or not. Um, Hopefully that answered the question. What's your favorite part about working with Cartoon Network? Um, I think Cartoon Network has good shows, but that's just my personal bias. Um, I think I think it's a lot more progressive than some of the bigger studios. Like at least we used to be. We just like merged with Warner Media, so things might change. We have a new head of content, and like the guy who used to do all that stuff. I think he was gay, and he was really like a big advocate for like Steven Universe and stuff like that. So I think we had a lot more um, like cutting edge content. It's so weird to use their lingo, but I think it was a good thing. And now I don't know much about this guy, but he seems very hyped up about things like Teen Titans Go and um, Thundercats Roar and Green Eggs and Ham. So that that seems to be what it'll be like. I don't really know. If you're asking about like working at Cartoon Network, it's the people. If you came in late, working at Cartoon Network uh, brings you in contact with a lot of like great people. So um, enjoy that if you ever get there. Has your education at school prepared you for your role at Cartoon Network? Not really, and like it's really hard to train someone to be prepared for production. It's like not really it's not really something people talk about, and when they do talk about it, it's very vague, and like production is a very like um specific spaced like thing. uh Schools usually can't tackle that if they're not like actively working in a studio, so it's just very hard. I feel for schools, I feel for students, I feel for people who are trying to get these jobs. um That being said, I think school taught me how to use some of the programs that I needed to learn to get the job. I wouldn't have gotten my first job if I didn't know Premiere, and nobody else around me knew Premiere. So that is something that school taught me that helped me get to Cartoon Network. But as far as like preparing you for your role, really like my education was more like teaching me how to make something move in a in an animation program. Like it wasn't really like learn how to storyboard, learn how to be a character designer, learn how to be a visual development person. Like it just wasn't like that. So I don't think my animation knowledge is good in the first place, or helped me get my job at Cartoon Network. But hopefully that answered your question. How many hours do you work a day? I clock in at 9 and I clock out at 6, with a 1 hour required break by California law right in the middle. So I think that's an 8 hour workday. Uh, is that an 8 hour workday? 8 times 5 is 40 hour work week. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's pretty standard, I feel. Um, do you ever have hiatus when you work, like when it shows in between season or hiatus? Hiatuses exist, but they're not for people in production. Um, they are for when they're for artists mostly. Like there are a lot of times when it's sad when people have to leave for like a couple of months and then they come back and it's like a big reunion like you've never seen them in like a year or something, but it's only been like 2 months. It's so ridiculous. But yeah, hiatuses exist, and it sucks when people have to leave, but it's just for budgetary reasons. If you're not going to be using these people, if you're waiting for scripts to be made, or if you're waiting for your next season to be greenlit, you gotta put them on hiatus. Like, it's just, animation is very expensive. The people who work in it are also really expensive, so that's why they exist. And it's sad when people go, but in that time, I know that people like work on their personal stuff, or like they have like hobbies, or they just try to like mentally like unravel so that they can prepare for the next time they work, because it's a very taxing work environment, and I do not blame them for wanting to just like chill out. That is totally their prerogative. How do you stay motivated when you get burnt out often? um I've been working for like a year and a half now. I'm kind of hitting burnout, but that's what weekends are for, I guess. For me, at least. Like, when you get burnout, you gotta just take a break. You gotta like tell people, especially if your work depends on it. I think it's okay to tell people like, "Hey, I'm getting burnt out," because then they can figure out something for you. If you kind of just like don't tell anyone, it's hard for us to help you out. If you're an artist, at least. For me, it's like it's exhausting, but you gotta keep going. Like, production is a machine that doesn't stop, and it's hard to replace you because you know every single piece that's moving, and stuff like that. Not a lot of people can like take over your job at a moment's notice. But if you're an artist, it might be easy to like freelance something out for someone if they're having a rough time. Um, so just keep that in mind. Like, there's a budget, and you're a person. Like, if you're an artist, you got to take care of yourself. Um, if you hit burnout, then like you should tell someone. They'll take care of you. It might be at like the cost of how big your paycheck is at the end of the month, but honestly, like it's better to just like be sane. You know, um, the money will come. Your mental health is number one, in my opinion. Does it help to add independent work or projects to a portfolio of webcomics? Is that a plus or a detriment? I'd say all work that you get paid for is great to put in your portfolio. All work that you are very like proud and passionate about, you should also put in your portfolio. Doesn't matter where it's from or like what projects you did. I know people who like don't put anything but personal stuff in their portfolio, and they're usually like easy hires. I know people who only put like professional work, and they're also easy hires. So really, it's up to you and your personal taste in what you enjoy doing. Like, if I worked on a project that I didn't like, even if it was paid, I'd leave it off, and I've done that before. Just because like if it's not what you want to do, if it's not fun, and if it's not like true to your brand, you might end up getting hired for something that you don't really enjoy drawing. So that's just something to keep in mind. How's the transition from interning to PAing? The guy who helped me get hired interned straight into his production assistant role. And the jump apparently wasn't too bad. As a PA, you're not doing too much more different than what an intern does. But there are some things that people will trust you more with as a PA than an intern. I took a gap of a year between my internship and my PA job, and it was all right. There's like a little learning curve to it, but it comes with the territory. Like, the first week, you're probably just getting your computer set up and you're catching up on animatics, depending on how long your show's been going on for, just so you know what's going on. And then usually someone will ease you into what jobs you need to do like day to day. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. So don't worry too much about transitioning from intern to PA. I think don't worry too much about like transitioning into a new job. I think it comes with the title that you will get trained for it. You will be eased into it unless you are like a talent that is already proven and like they're bringing you on as like an emergency like thing. Then it's like, okay, you should already know how to do this job, if that's the expectation. So yeah, don't worry too much about that. You guys are fine. What's the most important thing you learned while working at CN? I think the most important thing I learned is that like boundaries, like professional boundaries. I don't know. Um, this is a tough one. At my internship, we'll talk about internship first. The most important thing I learned at my internship was relationships and boundaries. That was like the big thing. It's like, how do I make friendships with people who are constantly busy? How do I just like be polite and nice and like in those like moments of break, just like offering a hand or like being a friend. I think that's really important. I think knowing when people are busy is also really, really important. Like asking about people's availability with like one of your immediate higher ups might be the best thing if you want to like really get to learn what things are like at a studio from your coworkers. Because a lot of people will like barge in or like hover over like cubicles to see if like someone's doing something, and that's always been detrimental from what I've heard. So taking baby steps and like this is your first job, you're trying to make a good impression, just like putting on a smile, making friends, doing the good work. Like that was the most important thing I learned at Cartoon Network. Now as like an employee, like full time, I think it's important to learn that it's a ship that's like running, and like pulling your weight and like doing your part is like part of keeping the ship going. So just knowing that importance and not letting it like overtake you like stress wise, but just like knowing, okay, I have to do this today so that people can get this by Monday or something. So it's just things like that. That's a really important thing. And that's something that a lot of people who are like outside kind of maybe miss, not to their fault or anything, but it's just like, it's hard. Nobody knows how to do this stuff. It's like, it's not magic. It takes like a year and a half to get something from idea to TV. So it's really hard to put yourself in that mindset. I think that's really important for me to learn. Should I make a different portfolio or portfolio websites for different types of work like viz dev and storyboarding, or can I put them in different sections of the same website? I've heard it go both ways. Personally, I pay for a storyboarding website, and it's hard because you're all students. Like, you don't really know what you want to do yet. Personally, I would get a bunch of free websites and then just make them for different facets of my work. I'd say it's also really important to like pick a lane. And it's so like I feel like when I was a student, I was like, man, like I don't want to do that. I don't want to pigeonhole myself into that. But it's nice to know, especially in like TV environments, that like the person that you're hiring is like focused on one thing, because it's a very tight ship, and if something goes wrong, like you can get pushed back by a lot. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of man hours. For TV, you need to know that like, okay, this person is good at this. They've been doing this for a while. This is the only thing they do. That'll earn like a trust before you even like get a job or like get in the room. So try to find a focus. Try to see like what people respond to the most. You don't have to put the other thing aside, but I think if they're like very radically different, like viz dev and storyboarding, I'd pick one, but like keep the other, because that's also like a good thing to help out they help each other out in their own ways. So keep doing whatever you want to do. Like it's fun and it's fine, but I would pick a focus. And then what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something about like there'll be times when like storyboard artists can do like visual development for an episode. Like when you're imagining what the layout of a place is gonna look like. So if for this one person you're looking into boarding versus visual development and like character design and stuff like that, I'd say go into storyboarding, and you can use your viz dev skills to make yourself a stronger board artist. I think I got 10 more minutes, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. But yeah, I hope this is helpful. And I'm sorry I'm talking in such a monotone voice, but usually I'm more peppy, but this is just like this is my Friday midday voice. What's a good website hosting service for a portfolio? I use Squarespace, but man, like people get hired on Weebly. Like you can do whatever you want. Like it really doesn't matter as long as like the work is like easily viewable. I don't think it helps at all to have my Squarespace. I just pay for it because I pay for it. The one good thing about that is I get to see like who views it and like where they view it from and like how many people have seen my stuff in a week or a day. So that's the good part about that. But if you really don't care about like analytics or anything like that, I'd say just do Weebly or something or Tumblr. People still use Tumblr, man. Let's see. Have you met any famous people while working in Cali? Do you mean like famous in art or like famous like in like Hollywood? Either. Yeah. Okay. I think my favorite like famous person I met in animation is Marie Lum. She was working on Infinity Train for a little while, and we've become very close friends. At least from my side. If she ever sees this and she's like, "We're not friends," then it's like, okay, I get that. The most famous, or have I met any famous people? Met, like befriended them, or just like saw them on the street. I don't have any famous friends, unfortunately, but my friends have famous friends. I walked past Tyler the Creator once, and he asked us if we wanted to take a photo with him, and we said, "No, that's okay, but we like your stuff." He was crazy. And then I don't know. I feel like I was in an elevator with someone from Vanderpump Rules. If anybody watches that show, it's okay if you haven't. It's like this like trashy reality show that my mom likes to watch. But we were in an elevator with my mom, and I were in an elevator with that person, and my mom was freaking out. Do you have any tips for posting art on Instagram, social media, Twitter? I think the most popular people on like social media are the ones that post like every day, and they post like multiple times a day, and they just like never stop drawing. Like Kiana Consmith, she was from Hawaii too. She posts literally every day, and she posts something really good every day, like some Jesse and James stuff, and it's like super awesome. So, and she's like she blew up. She's like the most popular social media artist I know. I think that's the secret, apparently. It's just like making good stuff and doing it a lot. Marie also posts like twice a day or like 3 times a day of just like shit she's working on. And she's super popular. But that being said, like, if it's not a healthy practice, I feel like you should like ease up. And like some people get work from social media, some people get work on their own. I know that sometimes like posting and like the pressure of posting constantly can really be detrimental. And like if somebody doesn't like your stuff, then like you feel bad about it. I know because like I hate posting, and if it blows up, then I feel great, and if it doesn't, then I feel like crap, and that's not healthy. So really, if you're in scene, then absolutely just like grind stuff out and like show people, because like people will eat it up. But if you're like me and you like have a hard time with that, just take breaks every once in a while. Take it at your own pace. You don't have to be famous to get a job. You don't have to be famous on Twitter. Let's see. Do the production and creative teams interact with each other a lot outside of work, or are they separate groups? I've heard of it being separate, but for the most part, we're all one big happy family. It really depends on what show you're on and how the showrunner wants it. Some showrunners don't want production talking at all with artists. There's like, it's kind of like that boundary that you don't want to cross, and that's up to them. But sometimes there's crossover, but most of the time when it happens, it's really fun. Let's see. Is big social media presence super important for getting a job, or can you get it? Oh, it's okay. I'll say there are people who are looking who only care about like your social media presence, and there are people who are looking who don't care about that kind of stuff. Like I saw that the guy Mike Katsu, is that his name? He just like posted a lot of art all the time, and he just got a job at like Owl House, and like that's super great for him. And like I don't know, but I have a feeling that Kiana posted one time about how she got recruited by just like Twitter, like through a DM. So people can get jobs through social media for sure, but I think there's a price to pay for that if you're a certain kind of person, and I don't think that price is worth it. Any final tips before we wrap up? Just be kind, make a lot of friends. Like that's the best advice I can give, because no amount of like talent or like speed can make you a better person. You know what I mean? And I only want to work with people who I enjoy being around, you know? There are a lot of people who they might be talented, but you know, maybe they can't find work anymore because they have a reputation. Like, I think it's good to harvest like a good reputation and just like make a ton of friends. David reached out to me randomly, and like now we're cool. Like, and I trust him, and he makes great stuff. So like, I think that's a cool thing too. Like, just making friends on social media, making them wherever you can. Like that is super important. So just be nice, be kind, and like just like start planning your routes, because like you're all kids, but you're gonna be adults like when you get out of here. So just like prep up for that for sure. I think you all will have great futures if you just like stick to that. Anything else? Yeah, you can feel free. I'll try to answer whatever you can like really quickly, but this is super fun. I'm sad that I didn't get to hear anything, but I hope it was good.
Yeah, if anyone has any final questions, you can type them into chat right now. Before we go, Ridge, is it okay for you to take like one screenshot of the whole screen of everyone in the chat?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, I'll give you guys a second to turn on cameras if you want.
Thanks for doing this, Ridge.
Yeah, no problem. It was very nice meeting you all.
All right, guys, ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.